Ladies and gentlemen, how do?
Breaking news, Starmer suspends 4 MPs. Earlier today, that son of a toolmaker, others might just call him a massive tool. Keir Starmer suspended 4 MPs and removed the travel perk from 3 others. Their names are as follow: Neil Duncan, Jordan, Brian Leishman, Rachel Maskell and Chris Hinchcliffe.
Breaking news in the last couple of minutes, that is that 4 Labour MPs have now had the whip removed from them, essentially suspended from the Labour Party due to repeated breaches of party discipline. And also we're hearing in the last couple of minutes that 3 Labour MPs have had their trade envoy roles removed. In a moment, we're going to get analysis from John Craig, who's in Central Lobby, who has been talking to some of those rebels who've had the whip suspended. But first, let's bring in Tamara Cohen, who's with me here in the studio. Tamara, of course, who broke that story in the last hour or so for us. Tamara, good afternoon to you. Just talk us through the detail here. 4 MPs have had the whip suspended and 3 have had trade envoy roles removed.
Yes, these 4 MPs will no longer sit as Labour MPs indefinitely unless they're given it back. And if they're not, then they don't get to stand for Labour at the next election. So it's a sign that the leadership is pretty angry with them. Why? Well, 3 of them were only elected a year ago, and they were all very active in the rebellion against the government's welfare reforms, which triggered such an outcry among Labour MPs they had to give in on a lot of it. But these MPs were particularly vocal in their criticism, saying that it was not a very Labour thing to do. They're joined by Rachel Maskell, who's been an MP for York Central for about a decade now, but she was very critical of that decision and the government's move on winter fuel allowance, which they also U-turned on. So why these particular 4, given that so many Labour MPs were concerned about those changes? In fact, 47 of them voted against it even after all of these changes, which Liz Kendall, the Welfare Secretary, said this morning were now in a better place than they had been.
I think
we're looking at the degree of criticism, and you've seen another 3 Labour MPs have not had the whip suspended, but they have had plum roles as trade envoys, which allows them to go on interesting travels, taken off them.
This has all the hallmarks of Keir. Mr. Funded by Friends of Israel, Starmer stamping his authority on the party and showing backbenchers that he will not allow any dissent in the Starmer party by making these 4 MPs the sacrificial lambs. This directly relates to the recent Labour rebellion regarding the welfare bill, where over 120 MPs signed a letter forcing a major amendment to the bill, which basically kicked it into the long grass. Some might see these suspensions as not only vengeful by that son of a toolmaker, but also as him firing a warning shot to all Labour MPs that nobody is safe from his wrath, because he is the master of the Labour Party, and do not defy his will. Now I know exactly what the likes of Phil Mooseface and the Timu Crocodile Dundee and resident Squeaky Scouser, Graham Hughes, over on Politics Social will say. They got exactly what they deserved, as they are Labour MPs and should support the party. That type of bollocks, but these were also the very same people that were giving it the big one about how wrong this bill is. And I also recall them saying that the 7 MPs that were suspended for voting against the 2-child benefit cap deserved everything that they got.
Let's get more on that breaking news story this afternoon. An internal crackdown in the Labour Party by Keir Starmer. 4 MPs losing the Labour whip in the last hour or so. 3 others having their government jobs withdrawn after a pretty major rebellion a couple of weeks ago over disability benefits. Aggie Chambray is LBC's political correspondent with the very latest. Aggie.
Yes, that's right, Ben. So in the last half hour, it has been confirmed that 4 MPs, Neil Duncan Jordan, Chris Hinchcliffe, Brian Leishman and Rachel Maskell have all had the whip withdrawn, suspended due to repeated breaches of party discipline. Pending a future review. And as you say, 3 Labour MPs losing their government jobs, their trade envoy roles. Rosina Allen-Khan, Bell, Rubiaro Addy and Mohammed Yassin. This follows a fortnight later after that welfare vote where over 120 MPs signed that reasoned amendment. And as I said in that tease there, they thought they had safety in numbers because just about a year ago, 7 Labour MPs voted against the government on the 2-child benefit cap, and they all had the whip suspended. And since then, you've spoken to Labour MPs and they're a little bit worried about rebelling because they're worried about losing the whip. They basically thought, look, there's over 120 of us that have signed this reasoned amendment. Basically, 120 of us saying we will rebel and we are safe. And today, the proof of that is that they are not. And the government is basically trying to show that they are in control of the party, trying to regain that discipline that they had early doors just before MPs go off on summer recess. We've heard from a couple of those MPs. Brian Leishman, who's been suspended, he said that he'd had the whip temporarily suspended, said he's a proud Labour member and remains committed to the party. Rachel Maskell, too, has been talking in the last few minutes.
I've had a really positive discussion with the Chief Whip about my values, about the purpose of politics, about where I come from in politics, whether that's from my faith or my experience and representing my constituents. And I come here with those values because my constituents have given me a mandate to speak up for them when they have need.
There was definitely kind of heightened drama in the Commons this afternoon. I'm told that each one of those MPs was taken into the Chief's Whip's office one by one, given the news. And there's been a bit of a mixed reaction. So some Labour MPs saying, look, obviously this is necessary. Things had got out of hand, but why did it happen now? Suggesting they thought it might have happened before or quite soon after the welfare vote.
Strange that it's 2 weeks on.
Well,
2 weeks after the rebellion, now they take the action.
Exactly. And another one basically saying, and this person's on the left of the party, saying this was the political equivalent of putting a hand on a spike and basically saying to other MPs, do not rebel, this could happen to you.
It's interesting that they've picked these 4, Aggie, because dozens were prepared to rebel. They were very outspoken senior MPs, people like Louise Hay, people like Meg Hillier, that were making no secret of their opposition or their plans to try and stop what the government was doing. Why do you think they've picked these 4 and not done this sort of on a broader scale?
It's a really, really good question. I think it's worth pointing out that 3 out of the 4 of the Labour MPs who, well, as they were Labour MPs, are new. Rachel Maskell's the only one that's been around for a longer time. And I think that matters because it is more difficult to suspend the whip from somebody who has been around for a really, really long time, is really well respected, really well known within the Labour Party. And if you look at someone like Meg Hillier, it seemed like she really chose to start off that reasoned amendment. And she did it seemed, with a slightly heavy heart. She hasn't rebelled on other things. And I think members of the Labour Party responded to that, basically thinking, OK, she's taken this big step and this is a huge leap. If you were to look at someone like Rachel Maskell, she is obviously also extremely well respected within the Labour Party, but she has been someone who has been consistently critical of the government over winter fuel, over the 2-child benefit cap, over the welfare cuts, on TV, popping up on LBC. And I wonder whether that is the difference. But I also wonder whether for the government, they basically just chosen 4 people and thought, you know, these are the people that it will be possible to, at this stage, suspend the whip from.
Aggie, thank you very much indeed. Aggie Chambray, LBC's political correspondent. I don't know if that's a good move. All the Labour MPs I was talking to, I'm sure it's the same for Aggie, after that rebellion, saying Number 10 needs to do a far better job of working with us, putting an arm around backbenchers, being more collaborative, being more respectful. Fast forward 2 weeks and 4 MPs, Rachel Maskell, pretty popular in the party, no longer Labour MPs as we speak this afternoon. Is that going to achieve anything, or is it going to be counterproductive? I suspect it might be. We'll see, but it might well be the latter.
My message to those that still have those very rose-red Labour-tinted glasses on and are still drinking in gallons of the politics social cool aid, time to get your heads out of the sand. This is not the Labour Party anymore. It is Starmer brand, Labour Party. It no longer stands for any of the socialist principles that it was founded on. Do not be taken in by the spin of the likes of Phil Mooseface. He would have you believe that the moon is made of cheese because his beloved Starmer says that it is. I am sorry, but there is absolutely no way that anyone can condone the suspension of these MPs for doing exactly what they are supposed to do as Labour MPs, and that is to stand up for their beliefs and their constituents. Massive shout out to the lads over on ALLSharts AI for making my words come to life say hello to them. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this video, then not only are you lovely people, but you also have great taste, and you should also subscribe to the Two Davies for news and politics from a very Scottish perspective, and that rantastic Mr. McGuinness. You should also subscribe to Mr. Daily Blasé's channel for merriment, mischief, and the Friday frolics. Cue growling cat.